Cave diving is one of the most dangerous activities a human being can choose to do. There is no margin for error, no way to surface quickly, no rescue coming if something goes wrong 200 meters underground, in total darkness, in water so cold it will kill you before anyone knows you are missing. Most people who die in caves die because of one of three things. They run out of air, they lose visibility, they get lost. The divers in this video were not beginners. Most of them were experts, record holders, pioneers, people who had been doing this for decades. And they died anyway. These are 5 cave diving tragedies that shocked the world. Starting with number 5. Number 5. The Blue Hole, Dahab, Egypt. On the northeastern tip of the Sinai Peninsula, there is a circular sinkhole in the Red Sea floor roughly 60 meters across. From the surface, it looks beautiful. The water is impossibly blue. The visibility is extraordinary. It looks like the kind of place you would want to dive. It is called the Blue Hole. Local guides in Dahab call it something else, the Diver's Cemetery. At a depth of around 56 meters, there is a tunnel, known simply as the Arch, that cuts through the reef wall and opens into the open sea. The tunnel is around 26 meters long. To swim through it, you have to go down first, then across, then up. The problem is depth. At 56 meters, nitrogen narcosis begins to cloud judgment the way alcohol does. Divers become confused. They lose track of which way is up. They run out of air trying to find the exit. The Arch has claimed an estimated 130 to 200 lives. The true number is unknown, because not all of them are found. In 2000, a 22-year-old Israeli diver named Yuri Lipsky descended alone with a camera attached to his helmet. His footage was later recovered from the bottom. It shows him descending past 100 meters, far deeper than the Arch, far deeper than any recreational limit. His movements becoming slower, his hands barely responding. At 115 meters, the footage stops. The camera was found the following year, still attached to the footage that documented his final minutes. His body was recovered the same day. Lipsky's footage circulated online for years. It was not released to shock. It was released by his family, who wanted people to understand what this place actually was. The Blue Hole is still open to divers today. Number 4. Ben McDaniel, Vortex Spring, Florida, 2010. Vortex Spring is a popular dive site in Holmes County, Florida, a natural freshwater spring that feeds into an underground cave system. Part of that cave is open to recreational divers. The deeper sections are gated off. You need a cave diving certification and a permit to go beyond the gate. On the evening of August 18, 2010, a 30-year-old man named Ben McDaniel suited up and entered the water alone. Staff at the dive site saw him go in at around 7:30 in the evening. They did not see him come out. The following morning, his car was still in the parking lot. Search divers went in. They searched the accessible sections of the cave. They found nothing. Professional cave divers were brought in, including some of the most experienced in the world. They pushed deeper into the system than anyone had gone before. They found no body, no equipment, nothing. Ben McDaniel simply did not exist in that cave anymore. The mystery that followed was complicated. McDaniel had recently completed a cave diving course, but his certification was disputed. He had told people he planned to push deeper into the system. Some who knew him believed he went further than the gate, further than anyone had ever mapped. Others had a different theory. His family hired private investigators. There were claims he had staged his own disappearance, that he had reasons to vanish, that the debt and the failing business made it possible he had simply walked away. No evidence has ever supported that theory. His body has never been found. The most likely explanation, according to the cave divers who searched for him, is that he went deeper than his training allowed, into unmapped sections of the cave, and did not come back. Ben McDaniel was 30 years old. He had been cave diving for a matter of months. Number 3. Sheck Exley, Zacatón, Mexico, 1994. If there is a greatest cave diver who ever lived, most people who know this world would say it was Sheck Exley. By the time he died, he had logged more than 4,000 cave dives. He had set the world record for deepest cave dive multiple times. He had written what many still consider the definitive guide to cave diving safety, a book called Caverns Measureless to Man, which outlined in precise technical detail exactly how to not get killed underground. He was 45 years old. He had been doing this for 30 years. On April 6, 1994, Exley and a fellow diver named Jim Bowden drove to a remote cenote in the Mexican state of Tamaulipas, a flooded sinkhole called Zacatón. Their goal was simple and extraordinary: to break the world record for deepest cave dive. They went in together. At a certain depth, they separated, each diving their own line. Jim Bowden reached 282 meters, a new world record. He began his ascent. Sheck Exley did not come up. Bowden waited. He decompressed. He surfaced. Exley's line was still going down. A remotely operated vehicle was sent down days later. It found Exley's body at the bottom of the cenote, at a depth of approximately 270 meters. His equipment appeared intact. There was no obvious cause of death. The leading theory is high-pressure nervous syndrome, a condition that affects divers at extreme depth, causing uncontrollable tremors, disorientation, and loss of consciousness. The deeper you go, the worse it gets. At 270 meters, the water pressure is 28 times what it is at the surface. The man who wrote the book on how to survive cave diving died in a cave. Number 2. Dave Shaw, Bushman, South Africa, 2005. In October 2004, a diver named Dave Shaw descended into a flooded sinkhole called Bushman's in the northern Cape of South Africa. Bushman's Bushman's Hole in English, is one of the deepest freshwater dive sites in the world. At its lowest point, it drops to around 283 meters. Shaw was an experienced technical diver. He had made this dive before. At 270 meters, in near total darkness, he found something. A body. The body of a diver named Dion Dreyer, who had disappeared in this same hole a decade earlier, in 1994. Dreyer was 20 years old when he died. His family had never had closure. His remains had never been recovered. Shaw made a decision. He would come back. He would bring Dion Dreyer home. On January 8, 2005, Shaw descended again. With him was a support diver named Don Shirley, who would wait at 150 meters. Shaw was carrying a body bag. Shaw's helmet camera was running. What the footage shows is this. Shaw reached Dreyer's body at 270 meters. He began attempting to place the body in the bag. But Dreyer's remains had been underwater for 10 years. The wetsuit had become buoyant with decomposition. The body would not go in easily. Shaw worked at it. The camera continued to record. At some point, investigators believe around 10 minutes into the attempt, Shaw became entangled in the guideline. He could not free himself. He could not ascend. The camera recorded the water above him going dark. Don Shirley, waiting at 150 meters, nearly died during his ascent. He suffered severe decompression sickness and spent weeks in a hyperbaric chamber. 6 days after Shaw went down, both bodies floated to the surface. Dave Shaw and Dion Dreyer, together. Shaw was 50 years old. He had gone to bring someone else's son home. The footage from his helmet camera was later reviewed by investigators and shared with both families. It has never been publicly released in full. It did not need to be. Number 1. Tham Luang, Thailand, 2018. On June 23, 2018, 12 boys and their football coach entered a cave called Tham Luang Nang Nan. in the Chiang Rai province of northern Thailand. The boys were members of the Wild Boars, a local youth football team. The oldest was 16, the youngest was 11. They were celebrating a birthday. They planned to be inside for an hour. The monsoon came early. Water flooded the cave entrance behind them. The boys moved deeper in, searching for higher ground. They found a ledge roughly 4 kilometers inside the mountain, above the waterline. They stayed there for 9 days before anyone found them. The rescue operation that followed involved more than 10,000 people from 17 countries. It required some of the best cave divers in the world, among them British divers Rick Stanton and John Valanthan, who had been diving caves for decades to navigate flooded, pitch-black passages to reach the boys alive. But this is not only a rescue story. On July 6th, 3 days before the first boy was brought out, a former Thai Navy SEAL named Saman Gunan was placing oxygen tanks along the underwater passage to supply the rescue operation. On his return dive, he lost consciousness. He was 37 years old. He had volunteered. He never regained consciousness. He died in the cave. Saman Gunan had retired from active duty. He did not have to be there. When the call went out for divers, he came back. His photograph was displayed at the cave entrance throughout the rescue. When the last boy was brought out alive, the rescue team bowed in front of it. All 12 boys and their coach survived. Saman Gunan did not. Cave diving does not forgive miscalculation. It does not forgive bad luck. It does not forgive overconfidence or sentimentality or the belief that this time will be different. The people in this video were not reckless. Most of them knew exactly what they were doing. Some of them had spent their entire lives preparing for dives exactly like the ones that killed them. That is what makes it impossible to look away. They went anyway. They always go anyway. Subscribe. New episode every week.